Good morning, everybody. This is Judith A. Cole. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. So, you know, these are very interesting times, and people feel unsafe because, there was a black student found hanging from a tree. Um, I can't remember the location of the university. I can't remember what state that was in. Then you've got the Charlie Kirk murder. Uh, it feels very much like we are in some sort of um, moment in history where it's like, okay, now we gotta really, whatever we were trying to do, we really got to get it going now. I mean, I feel like we're being manipulated into a race war because the amount of vitriol that's coming from the right because the left doesn't seem to be as moved by Charlie Kirk's passing. Now, let's be clear. Many people are upset that he got murdered in front of his children, in his front of his wife, in front of all of these college kids. That's traumatic for everybody. And make no mistake, no matter what his philosophies were, and many of them that I can tell from the clips I've seen don't align with my personal philosophies, but I did agree with him about free speech, and I do agree with him about loving God, but nobody should get murdered like that. All the murders upset me, and I've said that repeatedly. Getting murdered is awful, and it's something that Americans have become desensitized to because we just have, you know. Cities with these giant murder rates. And I don't understand why the Democrats are so afraid to talk about crime or crime solutions. Because I'm telling you, you talk to these progressives and then they say really strange things like, well, I don't want to come off like I'm telling African Americans where they can hang out. First of all, this African American thing, as a black woman, and when it came out, I was in college. And I grew up right as black became the word. And my mom grew up with colored and Negro and maybe one more. Because my mom used to always crack up. She thought it was funny and she'd be like, look at all these colored people. Or I'm over here with the colored people. That was the lingo in the 30s and 40s and 50s when she grew up. You were colored. And then we became Afro American. Then by the time I arrived on the scene, we were black. I just called me black because I was at Howard when they were talking about African American. I was like, dude. So then you have these progressives who are, I didn't want to tell the African American. Like, first of all, I know you think you're being respectful or politically correct or whatever, but the worst people to talk about race and crime are the progressives because I'm telling you, if you haven't had a conversation with one of these, and I acknowledge there's extremism on both sides, and I don't care for either political party. I don't. I am an independent, but there are very many extreme left people who they're working so hard to tiptoe on this line, and they say the craziest shit. And then you realize, oh, you feel sorry for black people. You don't want to help us. You think we're inferior to you and require your help. That is the textbook definition of racism. That means you think you're superior to me based off of your race. It's not super complicated. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it is. So, we're in interesting times. We're in uncharted territory because many of us weren't alive or we don't even have living relatives for the last time the planets were aligned this way. And these are the planetary alignments of revolution. And I feel like they're trying to force one brand of revolution on us that's not the one we want. Because at this point, if you live in a major metropolitan area, you know different ethnic groups and you're cool with them. My whole thing is, I only like cool people. You either cool with me or you not. And I don't care what your bag is. Like, whatever you are, you're either cool or not cool with me. That's all that matters. So you can be whatever it is that you are, whatever your background is, whatever your race is, whatever you're into, that's you. But if I find you cool, that's all I care about. And I think most people are like that. At this point, we've all had coworkers of different ethnic backgrounds. We've all had classmates of different ethnic backgrounds. Unless you live in some really homogenous community, you have seen other people that don't look like you. And you either are cool with it or you're not. And so, I feel like they're trying to force a race war on us, but that's not the war we want to have. Because most of us, if we don't want to be surrounded by people that don't look like us, we don't live in areas where there are other people that don't look like us. You move away. You live deep somewhere where there's no diversity. That's already been decided. I live in Missouri. There are plenty of parts of Missouri that I don't think a whole bunch of people who look like me live there. And sometimes I'm shocked and I hear, like Ty Lue was born in some part of Missouri I never even really think I've ever been to or heard of. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't even know we were down there. But I don't want to be sidetracked. I'm just saying I think they're trying to push a race war on us. And you say, who is they? The proverbial they. The people that are really in charge. Because it's not anybody we know. We don't know their names. They are operating in the shadows. They've bought off all the politicians and they get to call the shots. Whoever founded America understood that America would eventually be completely for sale. Because, you know, while we talk about religious freedom and all the stuff we're taught that that's why they came here, it really seems to be it was about capitalism and free trade and how to get a bag, on the backs of other people. And slavery built the world. Slavery built the world, and we have some modernized version of slavery now. Don't tell me you don't feel like a slave. If you have to work and pay your bills and things seem super unaffordable, you know, uh, we're in a version of slavery. So I don't know who's pushing it because I don't know their names either, but it's obvious, and Americans are finally waking up. We're tired of being distracted, because all of our entertainment is just distraction. And people are finally looking around like, well, what the hell are we paying for? And you don't have to be a specific race. They're trying to keep you angry about race so you won't notice all the other shit. And people are waking up, especially people like me. When you realize that when it comes to health care and long-term care for your loved ones, there's nothing, you know. You have to Medicaid is out there, but Medicaid is gangster. They will come and take all your shit even after the person dies. If someone was ever on Medicaid and then money materializes, like their house sells after they die, Medicaid can come back and oftentimes does come back and take that money. That's why I try to do everything I could to avoid probate court and Medicaid. So, you know, you don't have to be any race to be mad about that. A human race. We're starting to realize like we're all in this shitty boat together. And as much as they try to divide us, there are plenty of people who didn't espouse Charlie Kirk's philosophies about, you know, DEI and all this stuff. I think But there are plenty of other people who don't look like him that are also Christians, and love God and share a value system with him. And a lot of people are upset because, I like I said, he's not my cup of tea, and I'm not conservative, and their brand. See, liberalism and progressivism is racist in its way, and they're racist in another way, the more obvious way, where they talk down and make fun of and suggest that people of color don't deserve their jobs and things of that nature. Um, so they overcompensate to me in one way, and then Democrats overcompensate in their own way. And the bottom line is, we're all in this shitty boat together, and we're going to have to figure out how to get out of it because, on the level that I'm speaking of, the powers that be that are for the real powers that be, we didn't vote for them. And they've bought every politician lock, stock, and barrel. And uh, these people don't care what race you are. They don't care anything about they like to keep you inflamed because they know that bothers you and you'll get distracted. But at the end of the day, they think we're all not them, and we're all to be used and manipulated, and uh, we're just we're just chattel. We're just property to them. We're people who they resent having to deal with, because having growing the population was great when they needed people to work in their factories and make more money. And I'm talking about the people behind the money, you know, and you can see this blatant manipulation if you really look. It's obvious that Trump doesn't run the country. And it's obvious that whoever these people are, and I think there are several factions, and they're starting to fight amongst each other. These super elite, quiet, um, financial assassins that are really running everything, I don't think they agree, and they have enough money to start funding opposing positions, and they're getting revealed. I know it sounds tinfoil hat, but I promise you, I just honestly believe that's what's going on, and we're being manipulated because while we are down here on this level that we live on, the regular working class American level, we are looking at all the reasons why we resent each other. They resent all of us, and it's showing. Their fangs are showing. They're sick of us. I think rich people, the extreme rich, people you don't even know how rich they are, I think they have just grown bored with people. And now they want to wring every dollar out of us because the populations are shrinking. And how will they survive? Uh, there's a point where you have so much money, you just get to experiment with life. And if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not there yet. And I'm not there yet either. But spiritually, it's warfare, and you can see it. If you open your eyes, you can see it. But I believe God wins, and I don't believe we were put here to be mistreated the whole time either. So, you know, stay tuned. It's a very interesting time to be alive. Say your prayers, live in your faith, and this is a time for deep faith. And just watch out, because it's only going to get more interesting until it's not. So take care of yourselves, be well, and I know that that's a lot to take in, and I know that it sounds confusing and a little scary, but you don't have to be scared if you have faith. Yeah?